The next type of preemptive scheduling is round robin scheduling. So round robin brings equal chance to all. Okay, so whatever the process or the threads are in a ready queue, all will get the equal chance. Okay, so round robin scheduling, each process in a ready queue is executed for a predefined time slot. Okay, so means if there are the four particular processes are there in the ready queue, so everyone will get a equal chance. Like process 1 will get a predefined time slot, like say 2 milliseconds. So one will get 2 milliseconds, second will get 2 milliseconds, third will get 2 milliseconds, fourth will get 2 milliseconds. So round robin. Okay, one after another, like here you can see, here I am showing in this round robin. So process 1, then execution switch to process 2, then process 3, then process 4, like this. Okay, equal time to all the processes. The execution start with picking up the first process in the ready queue. Okay, always the first one will come. It is executed for a predefined time, and when the predefined time ends or elapses or the process completes, so even the process can complete before the predefined time. Okay, so as it over, as the predefined times end or the process ends or process completes, the next process in the ready queue is selected for the execution. This is repeated for all the process in the ready queue. Once each process in a ready queue is executed for the predefined time period, the scheduler comes back and pick the process in the ready queue again for execution. Okay, the sequence will get repeated. Okay, so we'll see that with more detail with an example. The ready queue can be considered as a circular queue in which the scheduler picks up the first process for execution and moves the next till the end of the queue, and then comes back to the beginning of the queue to pick up the first process again. So here only, that's what I said, like in this diagram only you can easily see process 1, then it will go to process 2, then it will go to process 3, then process 4, and again coming back to process 1. So that is what round robin we are saying. Okay, so each process will get a equal time, predefined time. So that will be predefined, whether 2 milliseconds, 3 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds. So everyone will get that equal time. Okay, so once 4 milliseconds are done for P1, it will go to P2. Once P2 take 4 milliseconds, it will go to P3. So either that time, predefined time has to over, or the process time what it requires, that has to over. After that it will go to the next one. So the time slice is provided by the timer tick feature of the time management unit of the OS. So how much that predefined time is defined by the OS, time management unit of the OS. So let's see the example of this. You will be more clear with this. So there are the three process IDs P1, P2, P3 with the estimate completion time of 6, 4, 2 milliseconds respectively. Okay, so P1 takes 6 milliseconds, P2 takes 4 milliseconds, P3 takes 2 milliseconds. Enters the ready queue together in the order of P1, P2, P3. Calculate the waiting time and the turnaround time for each process and the average waiting time and turnaround time, assuming there is no IO waiting for the process, means all are waiting for the CPU operations only, in the round robin algorithm with time slice of 2 milliseconds. So if the problems come, it will be mentioned like which algorithm you have to apply. So previously we have studied about the shortest job first algorithm. Okay, now this one is a round robin algorithm. So depend on which one they have asked, you have to apply that particular property. So here the time slice is given what, 2 milliseconds. Okay, now as we have known, so three processes we have, P1, P2, P3 respectively. It will give equal chance to all the three with 2 millisecond time of duration. That is what round robin, right? So let's see this. So here you can easily observe now P1 first who is there, P1 is there. So P1 will come for execution, and how much time it will get, 2 milliseconds, because that is the time slice given, 2 milliseconds. So for 2 milliseconds P1 will get executed. Okay, so here 2 milliseconds. After that, whose chance is there, P2 will take 2 milliseconds to execute, P2 will get 2 milliseconds. Then P3 will get 2 milliseconds, P3 will get 2 milliseconds. But now P3 is over because the time required for P3 is 2. So P3 overs here. Okay. But again it will go back to P1. So P1 was total was 6. So previously it was done 2. Now again 2 more milliseconds P1. Then who's next? P2, 2 more milliseconds. So P2 is also over because total time required for P2 is 4 milliseconds. So 2 here and 2 here over. Now for P1, 2 plus 2, 4 are over. So 2 more are left. So again a chance of P1. So total P1 also got over with 6 milliseconds. So all the process is done the executions. So with the time slice of 2 milliseconds each, round robin fashion. Understood? So first P1 got 2 milliseconds, then P2 got 2 milliseconds, P3 got 2 milliseconds, then again come back to P1, then P2, and again P3 was not there because P3 was already done execution with 2 milliseconds, then P1. Understood? So here just we need to assign this properly so that it will be easy for us to calculate the average waiting time and all. So 0 to 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, then 10, then 12. Okay, this is 2 to 2 millisecond time slots. So now based on this diagram we can easily find out what are the waiting time and all. So we know that waiting time for P1. So here now P1 initially got P1 chance, right? Initially got the P1 chance here. Now the next P1 chance is coming here, right? So how much it has waited for this 6 minus 2 means 4 millisecond here. Again this P1 here has to wait for this much time again. This is 2 milliseconds. So 4 plus 2, 6 milliseconds. P1 need to wait. 6 minus 2, 10 minus 8, which is 6 milliseconds. Okay. P1 start executing first and waits for 2 times slice to get the execution back, and again 1 time slice for getting the CPU time. Here you can see. So it was waited here for 2 times slot. Okay. Here it has waited for 2 particular time slot, and here also it has waited for 1 particular time slot. So that's what 2 plus 1, 3 times slice. So nothing but 6 milliseconds. Now the next one is P2. So how much time P2 has waited? P2 here. P2 has waited here for this 2 milliseconds first. Okay. Then P2 came in picture here. So this again 2 slots here, right? So 1 here and 2 here. So how much total? 3 times slice, nothing but again same 6 milliseconds. Then for P3 we have to check how much time it has waited for P3. So let's see P3, here it is P3. So P3 has waited only for this particular time. Okay, P3 has waited for this particular time, which are 2 times slice. After that there is no P3 has executed. So 2 times slice. So how much? 4 milliseconds. So average waiting time again total upon the number of process. So we got this 5.33 milliseconds. Okay. Now turnaround time. So we know that what is turnaround time? Waiting time plus execution time. Time spent in ready queue plus execution time. So we have already calculated what is the waiting time here. Okay. And we already know in a problem statement itself how much is the execution time. So for P1 we know that waiting time we have calculated 6 plus the execution time is 6 milliseconds, so it is 12. Now for this we have calculated waiting time is 6 and execution time is 4, so 10 milliseconds. For this P3 we have calculated waiting time is 4 milliseconds, execution time is 2 milliseconds, so 6 milliseconds. So again the average turnaround time we can calculate turnaround time upon the number of process. So we got it 9.33 milliseconds. So average turnaround time is the sum of the average waiting time and average execution time. Okay, so that's what. So average execution time is equal to execution time for all the process upon number of process. So execution time for P1, P2, P3 upon the process. So that is average execution time 4 milliseconds. And average turnaround time is nothing but average waiting time plus average execution time. So waiting time plus execution time is 9.33 milliseconds. So round robin scheduling involves lot of overhead in maintaining the time slice information for every process which is currently being executed. Okay, so it has to show lots of overhead because uh, one after another, every process is getting again and again chance to execute. Now the next one is priority based scheduling. So in primitive scheduling, any high priority process entering the ready queue is immediately scheduled for execution. Okay, so now the priorities are predefined for the processes. If the highest priority process is entering in the ready queue, it will get the first chance. Okay, simple. The priority of the task or a process can be indicated through various mechanisms. So the shortest job first algorithm can be viewed as a priority based scheduling, where each task is prioritized in the order of the time required to complete the task. So in shortest first, what we have done, the one who required lesser time will go first. So based on the time required also, we can assign the priorities to the particular task. So that is one mechanism. Okay, so that is what we are saying, prioritizing. The lower the time required for completing the process is the having the highest priority in the SJF scheduling. Okay, so both we can correlate with. So another way of prioritizing assigning is associating a priority to the task or a process. It the time of creation of the task or a process. So when the task is getting created, based on that also we can assign the priority. The priority of is a number ranging from 0 to the maximum priority supported by that particular operating system. So this is what we are saying, priority based scheduling. So let's discuss one example. So there are the processes with the process IDs P1, P2, P3 with the estimate completion time 10, 5, 7 milliseconds and priorities 1, 3, 2. Okay, so P1 is having the priority 1, P2 is having the priority 3 and P3 is having the priority 2. 0 highest priority, 3 is the lowest priority. Represent respectively enters the ready queue together. Okay, now P1, P2, P3 enters together. A new process P4 with estimate completion time of 6 millisecond with the priority is 0 enters the ready queue after 5 millisecond of the start of execution of P1. Assume all the process contains only CPU operation to be involved. So again we need to calculate what is the average turnaround time and average waiting time for this. So understand the question. Here the priorities are fixed. So based on the priorities, now this processes will go for execution. So highest priority is 0, 3 is the lowest priority. So if we discuss on this, if we see on this, so who is having the highest priority then? P4, because P4 priority is 0. Then who is having P1, then P3, then P2. Understood? So but initially P1, P2, P3 are only there in the ready queue. P4 enters after 5 milliseconds. Okay, so now initially who is having the highest priority? P1 as a 1. Okay, so it will execute for 5 milliseconds, but the total time required is 10 milliseconds for P1. So it will execute only for 5 milliseconds because after that P4 is entering, which is having the highest priority now. Okay, so it will stop P1 and it will give the CPU to P4. Now P4 will take 6 milliseconds to execute, so it will execute all 5 plus 6, 11 milliseconds. P4 is done. Once P4 is done, again who is having the highest priority? P1 is left with 5 more milliseconds, so P1 will get execute for 5 more milliseconds. So 11 plus 5 it is 16 now. 16 at 16 milliseconds P1 is over. Now who is having the highest next priority? P3 which takes 7 milliseconds, so P3 will get chance to execute for 7 milliseconds. 16 plus 7 it will give us 23. It will give us 23. So P3 is done. Now who is having the lowest priority? P2, right? How much time it requires? 5 milliseconds. So P2 will execute for 5 milliseconds. 23 plus 5, 28. So done. Understood? P1 initially, because P4 is not in the ready queue yet, so P1 is highest priority. After 5 milliseconds P4 enters, which is having the highest priority, so P4 will get the chance. Then P1 remaining, then P3 is the next priority, then P2 is the next priority. So once we have drawn this particular diagram, now we can easily calculate the timings. So the waiting time for all the process are given as waiting time for P1. Now initially P1 got directly access, right? But it has to wait. It has to wait between this P4 execute. Okay, P4 execute. So how much time it has taken, waited for 6 milliseconds. So waited for 6 milliseconds, right? Then waiting time for P4. Waiting time for P4. It is 0 because P4 as soon as it entered, it was having highest priority 0, so it got a chance to execute as soon as, right? So 0 milliseconds. Then we have P3. So P3 is 16 milliseconds it is, right? How we can see here, sorry, we can see here P3 here. So from here P3 is coming. So how much time it has waited totally? 16 milliseconds. Then it got a chance, right? The same way P2 has waited this much time period. So how much? 23. So you can observe it here. 16, P2 got 23. So average time, again addition of all divided by 4. So we got average waiting time. The same way average turnaround time. So waiting time plus execution time we have already seen. Okay, so if we do that, we'll get this turnaround time for P1 16, P4 6, P3 23, P2 has 28 milliseconds. And then if we find out the average turnaround time totally, so we'll get 18.25 milliseconds, same as the previous examples. Okay, so preemptive scheduling, or what we have done, so priority based preemptive scheduling gives real time attention to high priority tasks. Thus the priority based preemptive scheduling is adopted in system which demands real time behavior. Okay, so because there are many particular processes required very quick response, so there if we can assign this particular priority based scheduling, the one which required very quick response can get the easy access for the CPU and it will get the priority to execute. Okay, most of the real-time operating system make a use of preemptive priority based scheduling algorithm for process scheduling. So with this we have discussed about the preemptive scheduling.